Hey, everybody. I'm Bob Raynor, and this is the Friday Five, your quick 5-minute dose of creativity, career insight, and practical inspiration to wrap up the week. This week's theme, starting small. Have you ever heard the saying, how do you eat an elephant? The answer is one bite at a time. It's kind of the same when it comes to challenges in your creative life. Every successful endeavor starts with a single, small, courageous act. So let's kick off with some fresh creative inspiration. According to Getty Images' 2025 Creative Trends Report, this year's visual themes are all about authenticity, texture, and imperfection. After years of glossy digital polish and AI enhancements, people are craving what feels human and real, work that shows the fingerprints of its maker. That hits home for me. Maybe it's because early in my creative life, everything started with pencil and paper. My mind still craves that, even though most deadlines don't allow for it anymore. I've noticed that people respond most to work that feels alive, the kind with edges and not perfection. So maybe this week's creative spark is simple. Reconnect with the process, not just the finished product. Because authenticity isn't a yearly trend, it's what connects us. Next up, let's talk about side projects. I recently came across an article called A Side Project Can Change Your Life, and it reminded me of something I heard on a recent episode of one of my new favorite podcasts called The Creative Pep Talk, a podcast from Andy J. Pizza. He talked about cheating on your career with your creative passion, and I kind of laughed out loud as I was walking and listening to that. But the idea was that his job got him what he wanted, but it wasn't what he needed. And he went on to say that without that creative endeavor that makes you want to get up earlier or stay up later, he didn't have his creative impulse. For me, working with Midjourney began as exactly that, a creative affair on the side. I didn't know where it would go, and that was the point. It became a safe place to explore new tools, to find my visual voice again, and rediscover joy in the act of making. So this week's pep talk, find your creative fling, sneak away and make time to fuel that creative impulse. I recently read a LinkedIn Pulse story about late bloomers, people who left corporate jobs mid-career to pursue art, writing, or something completely different. Their message was simple but powerful. It's never too late to start over. And that really resonated with me because after 15 years in agency life, getting laid off forced me to ask, how can I regain a sense of control and find my creative path? Starting my own agency wasn't really about owning an agency. It was about having agency. I wanted the power to independently make my own free choices, to shape my experiences. So if you're in a career transition or even thinking about one, just remember, blooming late still means blooming. Now, let's talk about something creatives rarely share publicly: money. The Wall Street Journal recently published an essay called The Hard Financial Lessons I Learned as a New Freelancer. The author talked about the shock of inconsistent income, missed invoices, and the reality that creative freedom also comes with financial responsibility. And it's something I'm still learning to adapt to, being a full-time freelancer and fledgling agency owner. The stress of variable income, the pressure to value your time correctly, or just the need for a runway. And all too often, we don't talk about or pay attention to our finances, especially when there's a steady paycheck coming in. But what happens when there is a layoff or you make the move to become an entrepreneur? It doesn't have to be scary. My new friend, Farnoosh Torabi, an award-winning author and host of the So Money podcast, always reminds her audience about getting very familiar with your finances as a way to alleviate fear around money. So this week's reminder, if you're freelancing or between gigs, get comfortable talking about money and give yourself a financial checkup. Think of it as another creative skill. And finally, a quick mindset check to close out what I hope has been a creative week. I talked at the top of the show about starting small, but even that can fill someone with anxiety, usually about what others think. So my advice to you is your creative passions are for you. Don't do them to please others, because the truth is nobody's paying as much attention as you think. The only person you need to impress is the one who has to live with your unmade ideas. So here's your challenge this week. Make something small. Don't overthink it. Don't seek permission. Just make something for you. Well, that's it for this week's Friday 5. Thanks again for listening. And if this episode sparked something for you, share it or tag me in LinkedIn or Instagram. And until next time, stay curious, stay brave, and keep your flame lit.